I started work in 1956 on the 9th of November as a garment worker. It was in Hennocksburg, which produced uniforms from Land, Air and Sea people. I missed out with the march of the women in 1956 because I was highly expectant. I was married and I was living in Orlando West, it's where things were happening. That's where my home was. So that's why I knew about it. And well, I think my baby didn't live. And then on November the 9th, I went straight to the union, to the Garment Workers Union headed by Lucy Mvubelo, and they referred me to this factory. And when I got there to this factory, it's my first time to work, and it was quite late in my years. Most of the workers were black workers, yeah. And the supervisors were obviously white. And it wasn't long after job reservation, yeah. And there were certain jobs which you could still see that these are now reserved for white people. Like sewing around the sleeve of a jacket. It was reserved for white persons, and from then on it was reserved for men. For men, you know, it could be a black man, but not for women. And you just don't know what the difference was. Just sewing around the sleeve of a jacket, I can't tell what the difference was, why it was so difficult. Once you are in the factory, you knew that you've got to be very productive. You've got to, and people used to, I used to do lots of mistakes, you know. I wasn't very productive. I don't know why I was nervous. And until I was made like a supervisor. Much as I wasn't productive, I was made like a supervisor. And I worked there for a long time, acting as a supervisor, but until the inspectors at one time found out that I am actually supervising from the Industrial Council. And when the inspectors came, the employers tried to say that I'm an assistant supervisor, but actually there was no one I am assisting on the floor. And eventually, at that time, the employers chose to say they will pay me for the work that I am doing. But at that time, I chose not to be paid and said I want the title of being a supervisor so that it should break the eyes of people not being called supervisors. I was elected to be a shop steward. The workers wanted me to be a shop steward. And it was so impossible because now I'm like a supervisor at the same time. And now doing both these jobs, I thought the workers won't trust me. But I'm still very proud that the workers had confidence in me with all that. And I was a shop steward for the whole time until I was on the executive of the National Council of the union itself. And I did both these jobs. And we were going out on strike on several times. One time we went out on strike for a penny because in order as to qualify for your unemployment insurance, you had to be earning 10 Rand 51 cents a week. But we were earning 10 Rand 50 cents, and therefore we went out on strike. And we were going out on strike for a number of things, you know, for an ill treatment of a worker we would go out on strike. For, you know, the manner in which management or supervisors handled people, we would go out on strike. Maybe this is why the title of my book was Strikes Have Followed Me All My Life, because we were but striking most of the time in order as to have communication with management to settle the problem.